Everybody, and welcome to an absolute gigantic show. This is something I've been looking forward to. I don't know, it feels like a couple of years, but it's amazing. It's going to be really awesome. It's called Loving Life, and I like that. Loving Life with Liquid Loans. And of course, we're going to be interviewing the very own CEO, Crypto Crazey, which is going to be a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoy it. It's going to be pretty epic. We will have a little question time at the end, so do get your questions in towards the end, but we will be running through a lot of cool stuff about what Liquid Loans is doing, and of course we're none better from the CEO's perspective, so it's going to be absolutely fantastic. I'm going to bring on Crypto Crazey. I hope you guys enjoy it. We've got more in store later on during the live stream, and make sure you get in the chat there, make it lively, share the stream around, and let's get going. It's going to be really, really cool. All right, let me bring up the Crypto Crazey CEO. Welcome, CC.
Hey, mate. Thank you very much for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a huge privilege. And you guys are the epitome of how a protocol should operate on Pulsechain, from everywhere from development to marketing, promotions, a community. You guys actually crushed it. And now you're live, which is fantastic for you guys, which is really, really amazing.
Yeah, I must admit it's taken us a while to get there. And, you know, look, the deployment was, from our point of view, it was flawless. Like, really happy with the way the system's working. It's working exactly as we had hoped that it would. And so we're really happy with that. But one thing people probably aren't fully aware of is it wasn't as simple as just launching Liquid Loans, right? Liquid Loans really had been ready for a number of months. But the delays for us really were the lack of some of the infrastructure that was needed on Pulsechain meant that we needed a multi-sig wallet. So we actually had to effectively fork Gnosis Safe. And we have now on Pulsechain, there's Pulsechain Safe that we're running. So that provides the community with access to a multi-sig, which is effectively Gnosis. And the other most important thing was we needed an Oracle service. And I remember when we first started, I kept complaining to the team, bloody Pulsechain doesn't have an Oracle service. We're going to have to bring some people over. And we had conversations with the likes of Chainlink initially, and then realized, you know, we realized we wanted something a little bit better, a more decentralized version. They were balking it in any case, but we're really grateful for Nick Fett and Tellor. So they helped us out. And you probably are aware that we have an Oracle service running natively on Pulsechain now, and that's Fetch. So you'll hear more about Fetch in the future, but for now that provides us with the infrastructure. So without those things, we could never launch Liquid Loans. So there were delays trying to get all of that running smoothly, but we're really happy with where we're at right now.
Fantastic. I was going to. I know that you've got Pulsechain Safe out there for everybody to use, which is multi-sig on Pulsechain. So use that if you need to use some shared wallets and things like that. You've got the Fetch Oracle, which has unleashed Liquid Loans to the Pulsechain world. And of course, it's going to unleash a whole ton of other protocols that rely on both price and non-price calls. So that's going to be really, really amazing coming up. Some of those Power City Earn protocol, some of them PulsePot. There's others out there as well. It's going to be really, really fun to see them launch there, which is pretty cool. We got a few early comments in the house. So we're just going to quickly touch on one or two of these because I think they're quite good ones. Let me just go up down to here. We've got We got Acid Thunder says, great job, CC. Everything looks smooth, and it is. It's looking really amazing. Really, really cool. And we got Craig Pitt in there. Morning all. Let's go, Liquid Lines. Absolutely. That's kind of attitude. I love it. And Liquid Lines has come out of the gate just absolutely smashing some amazing statistics, which we're going to talk about as well. Now, what I wanted to play you is a little clip from the launch, because I think this sums up everything with Liquid Lines and how good this team is. I mean, it really does. The spirit of humanity was exploding here. So let's play it out. I really like this. So let's go. Let me just
Going on, community. Hey, Walrus, how do you like that one? Scottish Dave here. We're live on Midnight! Yes! I am so happy. And Christian, what a 15 minutes, what a half an hour we've just had. Actually, what the last couple of hours we've just had trying to get this thing out, the deployment process. I am feeling elated, humbled, proud. I mean, all these emotions that are running through me at the same time. It's probably just relief.
Yeah, I mean, it must have been amazing to get that launch. I think it was, 1st of December. Absolutely amazing. So
Yeah.
What are your feedback about that?
Every time I see that now, I laugh. I think, Dave, what did you have before you came on camera? It was, look, I must admit, he did it. That's just Dave, right? He's high energy. It's really important. You probably, that sort of tap dancing thing we've got going at the beginning there, that's all Dave. He's high energy, and it's exactly what we needed. I'm a little bit more sedate. I've got a few more grey hairs than most people, so I'm a little bit more sedate, but that was exactly what was required, and it pretty much summed up how we felt. It was, as you can imagine, when you're about to launch something, it's nerve-wracking, right? Even though you've done everything you can, there's still a nervousness that occurs. But look, we knew what was in store, and I think most of the feedback. I don't know. This is a bit of. I don't mean it to sound self-serving, but I think our DApp's bloody beautiful. It's just such a great experience. There's so much content there to help educate people on how to use the DApp, how it all works. So all of that has been a lot of hard work and effort by our devs, as well as the marketing teams providing input, as well as, I can't ever forget the people that have supported us on the journey, really, the folks in the Telegram group, all the admins that have provided so much support and feedback. All of that helped to make sure that we have what I consider a beautiful user experience, right? So it's a really nice app. There's plenty of content on there. I don't know if you've tried, there's a quiz, so you can test yourself just to understand how it all works. I think they're the sort of things that, mate, I don't know the last time you tried to move or acquire wrap pulse on Ethereum and then bridge it over. And then once you've bridged it over, then you've got it. It's like a new user. It's like, it just does their head in. It's really quite challenging. So we're trying to make it easier for people to actually onboard, and I think we're doing the best we can. And I think that the DApp is a good representation of that.
Yeah, honestly, I think you guys have done an incredible job with the front end, and you've actually got a lot of features in there that a lot of teams can use as well. So for other teams out there, hopefully they're taking note and adding it to their cool sites. I think of one that could use some of the things that you've got on there, which is Hex Scout, which is recently launched to onboard Hex skins and manage Hex stakes. So I think that's a good one. I think we gave the feedback the other day to that team to say, check out Liquid Lines. The way they've done some of the education and walkthroughs, information labels and things like that, because it really is pretty amazing. Now, some people are liking your sign at the back there, your Liquid Line sign, so you're getting a bit of comments about that.
Where can we get one?
Yeah. Look at that. That's pretty awesome. Now, I wanted to get into just rather than getting to the launch, I want to go back a little bit there and just give us a little bit of insight into the process from, say, launching the Sacrifice through to development and launching there. That experience that's kind of encapsulated in Dave's reaction on that live stream that you did for the launch.
Yeah, I think, as I said, Liquid Lines was sort of, I think I referred to it as the racehorse waiting at the gate, and it really was. It probably months ahead of time, but we just needed to get fetch running running solidly without a hiccup. And we've, and that took us a little while. And even though we had the guys over at Tellor help us with that, it's still, it is something that we're still working on. The intention there is that, we will in due course make that a much more decentralized Oracle service. At the moment, it's more of a controlled deployment, but we'll make that more available to the community as time goes past. Obviously, we wanted all of the effort and the energy on liquid loans as we launched. A couple of things that people need to understand is that just deploying, there's, and I obviously won't show you the checklist, but there's quite an elaborate, detailed checklist process, and we've been practicing for months, just in terms of how we go in the deployment process. So we had to go through all of that. Obviously, the audit process is really crucial. We're really happy with our partner, the audit partner, Halborn, for a number of reasons. One is that they've helped us with not only with liquid loans, but also Fetch. So they've reviewed both sets of contracts. But the other thing that people need to understand is that just because you've got something audited and the contracts actually technically work, that's not the end of the story. So from a security point of view, you also need to think about what are the risks that you carry when it comes to infrastructure that you're using around the deployment. And, we knew that there would be some people trying to hack the site, trying to get in, trying to access everything that we had running. And so, we went through a process, and we actually had what's called a red team trying to break us. And so Halborn again came to the party here, and they have a bunch of folks that would actually try and hack the site, try and get into behind the scenes, trying to get access to different servers. And, even once we launched, we noticed a massive spike trying to hit the servers. It was just, and thankfully we did everything that was required to make sure that.
We've actually seen other teams have problems with that, right? So their sites get taken down, all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Look, it's unfortunate, but I think, you have to go with the mindset of it's not if it's going to happen, it will happen. You need to be able to not only deal with it up front, but also it's how you respond, right? So even though when we deployed, you can imagine it was quite a solid day's effort just to get us all through the process internally that we've been going through. But in addition to that, it's we have to stay awake.
That's right. Yeah.
We've got a team our team's scattered across the globe. Yeah. But you still need to have 24/7 coverage, especially in those early days, right? So Dave was up. I think he was up for most of the night. I think I had a few hours sleep. There was a few guys that were just 24/7. One of our devs, we sort of jokingly said, he looks as fresh as a daisy. This guy worked for 24 hours straight, and he looked as fresh as a daisy. And I thought, this guy, we've got to get him on camera. He looked so good.
The special glow skin, did he? The special glow skin.
But you can imagine all of that happens. And I, we reached out to some of the other teams, just very happy to share our experience so that anyone else that might be launching later, we can sort of provide some feedback and some commentary to help them. Because unfortunately, there will be some folk that will try and bring projects down, as we know. And so anything we can do to help other projects, I'm more than happy to do that.
That's fantastic. Well, I think that's pretty good background. You guys got it launched, I think, 1st of December, right? And that was pretty amazing. And it's been operating absolutely incredibly since then. I want to look at, just go through the websites quickly and just get your views on a few of the key statistics. Maybe somehow things are performing, because I think it's going to be fun to do that. Godwell is in the house there. Crazy Crypto. Yeah. We got hit the likes on the way in. Definitely do that. Big shout out to Sandy Beach there. All right, let's get into it. And let me just pull this up. And we're going to change perspective there. So here we are. Liquid Loans either launch the mainnet or continue the website. And we're going to go to the website here. As I say, the website looks absolutely stunning. I mean, it really is incredible. Everything has been thought of here with the quiz, with the knowledge, and you got videos, podcasts. I mean, so much stuff, resources, just on and on, style guides, even about us, press and media. Really is incredible. What are some of the things you have in the background regarding the UI, UX? Look at this.
Yeah.
Do you have in-house specialists? How do you get this?
So all of our team, well, technically we didn't outsource anything. Like all of our team actually do the work. I mean, there are some teams that are, inverted commas contractors. So you can argue that that's an outsourcing, but we controlled all of our devs, right? So we don't sort of outsource a component of the work. It's all internal. So it means that we get to manage everything directly. So in effect, Dave worked pretty closely with some of the website team that actually did a lot of this. We did have some of the visualization was created by another team. So it was almost like the website itself and effectively what you're seeing now was developed by a discrete team that was working with Dave directly on some of this stuff. So all of the mechanics that you're seeing here was built by our team. And that was a separate team to the team that was working on the DApp itself, right? So, but in effect, we worked together, but quite discrete in the types of work that was undertaken. But the thing for me that, and I'm stressed upon the team, and I think Dave led the charge on this, and that is that we need to make it really easy to people to understand what the hell this thing is. Because initially you take a superficial look and you think, okay, well, it's just a borrowing protocol. But then you scratch the surface a little bit more, and then you realize, hey, that there's a fair bit of complexity here. And so we need to understand how all this sits together. So, one of the things that we did start with initially was to say, look, let's create some how-to videos so people could watch a video and understand how all of that works. I'm really not pleased with these little avatars. I must admit, I look so old. Dave's is
no, it looks pretty slick. That's very like Kirk looking of Star Trek or something. It's like
Dave is appropriate, right? And
yeah.
There's
another really you guys have made this fun. You've made finance fun, really. If you think about it, it's it really is cool.
A lot of that work was happening by that team, and they did a fantastic job. But
look, that's terrific. Honestly, it's so engaging. It really is amazing. Very cool. And podcasts, you guys really have gone in this communications, and I think that's been so important. It really has been really key to success. And you've had like Matt, you've had Walrus, got Gene here, Dan, Jeff Kadakis even from was it Trust Wallet? It's pretty impressive there.
Look, in the early days, you probably would have seen Jesse. Jesse was doing a great job.
Jesse,
in the early days, and he's now over at Power City, and I think those guys were working with them to help them with the feed that they're going to need. But all of this is, some really strong community members, a lot of support from the community. But I just know, honestly, I've seen a ramp up. Walrus coming on board to help with a lot of this has just been fantastic, right? So his depth of knowledge, his understanding, his ability to communicate is just outstanding. And so for us, really, he's just, for us, it's just really important. And the underlying theme for us is education. Educate people. Don't just go in and create and do something because everyone else is doing it. Try and understand what it's all about. And I know I'll get in trouble if I don't mention it, but there's two things that people need to be mindful of. There is a quiz that you can actually take that checks on your knowledge, right? So there's plenty of content on the website.
On that,
I think it's a 50-question quiz. I won't tell you how many I got wrong.
That quiz.
I was really annoyed. I thought, what do you mean I didn't get 50 out of 50? And there was a couple of tricky ones in there that stumped me. But otherwise, it's a really good quiz. And basically what it helps to reinforce is please understand what it is that you're using. And if you do that, it's going to help you. And more importantly, you'll start to learn the implications of decisions that you make as you're using the protocol itself. So we're pretty happy with it. And that's one example. The other is obviously, and I think you'll talk about this later, is there is a giveaway for 1 billion Pulse. I think that's really important. It's if in effect going through that process, answering some questions, and then I think we're asking people to just help to promote liquid loans. And there is a bit of a giveaway on that, so worthwhile for people to have a look at that as well.
Fantastic. So we're going to talk about that a bit later, but definitely if you want to get onto liquid loans, you can do enter the 1 billion PLS giveaway. there, which is pretty amazing. Actually, I'm going to pump the Liquid Loans website in the chat there as well. You'll also notice that we've also pinned to the top of the chat if you're part of the Liquid Loan Sacrifice and you want to claim your loan tokens there, we've actually posted the link at the very top of the chat, which is whereabouts did I put that here? Which is neverselling.io. So you need to go on there and claim. That you won't suddenly find the loan tokens in your wallet. You need to go and claim them. So just remember that to help people along. The Fetch Oracle's up. Powerhouse on Pulsechain. Fundamental for Pulsechain projects. Many of them they're going to be launching, especially the complicated ones. It is really impressive to have this up. I mean, thank you so much for your team doing it. I mean, it was a big deal.
Yeah, but in all honesty, we couldn't have launched without it. And so, whilst I know the guys have worked really hard to make this work, and this obviously the solution we have is working really well. A lot of credit goes to Nick Fett, the CTO over at Tellor. He and his team have been fantastic. So Nick works closely with us. We catch up with Nick on a regular basis. Any queries, questions, he's very open to helping the team. We've been doing that for a number of months now, and it's been really, really good to have Nick on board to help us through that. Just on the flip side, so one of the things that we know, if you ever play around with Tellor, it's not and people will learn a little bit more about Tellor in the future, and Fetch rather, but it's a very code specific kind of interaction. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is that there's no fancy UI. It's command line stuff. It's challenging. So what we're building that the community will eventually see is another UI that helps the community engage with Fetch in a much more sort of friendlier way. And as a thank you back to the guys over at Tellor, I think we'll be working to provide that to the Tellor community as well. So there is a quid pro quo in some of this, that we'll do something that helps our community. And the guys over at Tellor will lift some of that and deploy for their community as well. Fantastic.
Now, I noticed you got a feature here, and I guess it's related to that, is that you got these Oracle reporters for Fetch.
That's right.
Do you know when is that's obviously coming with the UI, or when's that sort of playing into this?
So what as you can imagine, we needed to make sure that the price feed is the most crucial part of Liquid Loans. So that has to come through, and it has to come through well.
Yeah.
So we've managed to secure that. That's working as expected. So what will happen is, we obviously wanted to allow Liquid Loans time to just, the community focus on Liquid Loans for the time being. But in the meantime, where the team's still working on the UI for Fetch, and what you'll see is that probably in the next 2 or 3 months, you will start to drip feed some of that out. And eventually there will be an allocation so that people can start using Fetch and start running reporters and doing exactly what we want them to do. And that is continue to provide price feeds to the Oracle service itself.
So when you say an allocation, you mean to who are the recipients of that? If we don't know.
We always look after our own. How's that?
Okay. That's good. That might answer one of the questions we had in the chat. But anyway, that's quite good. All right. Very cool. So stay tuned, everybody. That's coming up within a couple of months, I guess, is the time frame there. Looking forward to it. So another piece of utility alpha to Pulsechain that's going to be extended, the Fetch Oracle. Now, you've also obviously, I'm not sure if I got it here. Pulsechain Safe is the other product that's launched. So Liquid Loans has Fetch Oracle and Pulsechain Safe. Now, I've gone through this on the live stream some time ago when it launched, but this is multi-sig, and it's available to everybody to be able to use. So pretty amazing. You can find that obviously up under development, and just hit down Pulsechain Safe there.
Yeah, I should point out, just because I know this is maybe lost on some folk, Pulsechain Safe or Gnosis, it's not an easy one to fork. It did present a significant number of challenges for us as we were going through that. And and so we pared it down to the basics of what we're going to need for Pulsechain. And I think we've got a really, really robust tool. But deliberately, we didn't add all the features because some of those features are actually broken. Right?
Right. Okay.
And so just be mindful of that, because I know that sometimes people just presume you just fork it, run it, it's going to work. It doesn't. In this case, particularly for Gnosis, it doesn't. So we'd urge people to be very mindful of that. That Pulsechain Safe, we have tested. We've gone through quite a detailed testing process, and we've basically concluded that, look, we don't want to have all the bells and whistles, because they're not, they don't function as you would expect, and it can be quite challenging to bring them all over, basically.
Okay, fantastic. Now we're going to get into some of the metrics. So on the website, of course, we just checked out the website, and you can go through that in full in your own time. But the launch of the mainnet, you can click that, and it's going to bring up the mainnet, which is another gorgeous piece of front end from Liquid Loans. And of course, we're not going to go through every single individual feature. There's plenty of videos on Liquid Loans website and out there on YouTube as well on this. We've seen a lot of videos be popped up in the last 10 days by a lot of YouTubers covering on how-tos, how to get borrow and all that sort of stuff. It's been quite exciting to see. But I do want to go through a couple of the features, and that is people to be able to collateralize Pulse. That is such a major big deal. Just like the Fetch Oracle, being able to collateralize Pulse is such a mega huge deal, and people can start their own loans and to get their own stablecoin USDL, which is our second stablecoin on Pulsechain, and it's a juggernaut already. So you got any comments on that, CC?
Yeah, I think that what people need to be mindful of again is just protect, like if you're creating a vault, and this is my personal view, so people use the system in a different way. My personal view is I never ever want to have my vault liquidated, right? So I'm not in that, I'm not looking to try and do a stop loss on anything. You can use it for that purpose. That's not how I would use it. My view is keep your collateral ratios high, not excessively high. They don't have to be excessively high, but high enough so that if there is a downturn in the price of Pulse, you're not scrambling to try and ensure that you're not going to get liquidated. Now, the other thing that the narrative that tends to go around is that, you can have crashes of 85 and 90%, for example. What we do know, and this is fact, is that never happens in one day, right? That may be a progressive downtrend, but it never happens in one day. And so we analysed, well, what's happened with Pulse since inception? Since inception, there was certainly, at the beginning, there was a lot of volatility, but it's certainly nowhere near as volatile as it has been. And typically, you don't see significant downturns in one day. So you need to adjust your collateral ratio for how often you want to be engaging with the protocol itself. So what do I mean by that? Well, I'm vested into crypto in general, and I tend to watch the market on a daily basis. And because of that, I know what my tolerance level should be for any downturn. And so I adjust my collateral ratio based on that. So if I know, for example, that a 20 to 25% dip could happen in one day, then I'll adjust my collateral ratio accordingly. And effectively, if and even now we're noticing that I think Pulse is dipped a little bit today. So the liquidation ratio or the total collateral ratio of the protocol is down under 200%. Personally, I like seeing numbers above 200%. That
agreed.
gives me a sense of comfort,
Yeah, which would be green on the thing. It's yellow at the moment. Yep. Now, I just want to have a quick look at some of the when you do take liquid loans out, just briefly, you can either you can pretty much take the stable coin and go buy some Pulse or something with it, or you could just keep it in your wallet, or you could put it in stability pool on Liquid Loans protocol, which is pretty cool as well. And start earning some liquidation potential rewards and loan rewards, which is kind of a neat feature there. Now, I wanted to quickly go to the stats page, and you've upgraded this too after launch, so you've added charts and a bit more detail. One of the things that's pretty interesting out of the stable coins, you've already within 10 days got $14.5 million in stable coins, basically. In fact, it's slightly higher than that because the USDL price itself is above peg. So there's lots of interesting things started, but obviously the usual volatility at the beginning, and then slightly below peg, pretty normal stuff, and then it's actually gone above peg with obviously the risk off, I guess, scenario we've got at the moment. Just wondered what your thoughts were on that moment.
Yeah, I think, look, we're ecstatic with the amount of locked up pulse. So the total value locks encroaching 30 million now, which is really good.
29 there. Amazing. Yeah.
So it's a really good outcome that way. I think one of the things that we were mindful of when we launched is that it's a community protocol. So we want to ensure that the community engages and uses the protocol as it's intended. But part of that also meant that we need people to actually start locking up. And so we're really pleased that, if you have a look at the total number of vaults at the moment is 760 odd, 767, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Now that's, we've only been out just over a week, and Liquidity, our parent, the number of vaults they have open is about 900 at the moment, and they've been going for.
I just checked before the live stream. It's about 1,300, I think. But you're quite right. It's typically around 1,000, and it doesn't really move. I mean, it goes up and down from there depending on how the market's going. But it's incredible. The results are amazing. Really amazing.
And so from our point of view, it's it's really heartening to see that. If you had a look at the liquidations, look under risky vaults, some of the lockups have been quite significant. So if you just, because there's a sort feature on debt at the top there, just click on debt. Yep, that's it. And then you'll notice that one of the biggest owners there is, they've managed to collateralize to 760,000 or thereabouts. The collateral ratio is reasonably high, so it's around. I'd feel comfortable with that, but again, as soon as it dips under 200%, I'm starting to watch a bit more. And from my point of view, it's just if you're a regular user, I think you just make sure that you don't get liquidated. Is my only counsel to people. And just keep topping up if need be.
Now, it's going to be interesting to see, only 10 days in, and it's going to be interesting to see some of the bigger holders of Pulse use this in time. Maybe, just depending on what's going on with them. It was interesting to see that. But at the moment, with the results, really has been, let me just go back to the analytics page, some amazing stuff. 583 billion Pulse. That's 3.5% of the total supply of public Pulse at the moment. That is incredible in 10 days. I had a target before you launched of about 5% within 6 to 8 weeks. I thought that'd be a very nice target. Obviously, it's heading well towards that. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed there. This is my own target, not CC's.
And look, I must admit, I think I might have said this, is that, look, if I'm one of the whales, I'd be sitting back and just waiting to see how things go before I committed to it, and I think I'm hoping that some of the whales are starting to see, and I suspect some of the whales are already in, but they're starting to see the benefit of using the protocol. And we'll probably see a few more of the larger whales come in to use the protocol itself. And who knows, maybe Richard might decide to use it. We kind of fingers crossed that he does.
I guess there's Hex God Whale, there's Overwatch, there's all these big accounts. I don't know whether the dumper DO1 or whoever he is out there, when he's going to use it too. It's got a lot of different purposes, right? Because you can, in some jurisdictions, you may be able to use it as a tax to avoid tax and things. It turns out not avoid, but
it doesn't trigger a taxable event. Most jurisdictions, and that's, to me, that was a big part of the feature.
Part of it.
And the other is that we all kind of hope that Pulse will continue to increase in value. And we know that, look, all the stuff that's been going around with Richard, etc. We kind of know about all of that. I think we're factoring a lot of that into the price at the moment. My expectation is, as that starts to unfold, we'll probably start to see people come back in. We're hopeful that things go well for Richard on that front, because I think we get past this process, and I think there'll be a lot more interest. And having said that, we do need, in any particular layer one, you need people coming in. So some of that stuff can stall new entrants in. We're kind of hoping that we've had a little bit of have helped the community to sort of take some Pulse off the market effectively, so that it will actually help to hopefully push the price of Pulse up. And whilst it's only a small percentage at the moment, remember, once you've taken the Pulse off the market, it should actually then help with positive price movement, basically.
Well, I was gonna talk about that because you got 14.6 million in stable coins for USDL. You got almost 77% of it staked in the protocol, and you got $11.21 million there. So the difference is around about $2.7 million, and a lot of that, $3.5 million, I should say. 2.7 of that is sitting in the actual pool itself, the main principal pool.
Yep. And
that leaves about $750,000 that's either in some of the smaller pools or sitting in people's wallets. So I guess it's going to be pretty interesting to see how that changes over time, and also to see how some of the people using strategies and front ends that are coming, like Power City's front end and Magic Outride's front end, how they come in and change things up, because this is all just evolving. Because Liquid Line is actually an ecosystem, right, with these protocols coming on the front end. So it's pretty neat.
We are expecting, we've had conversations with some of the other dexes. Obviously as pools start to get created, we're going to see different pools around the place. We did cop a bit of flack for the amount of liquidity at launch. Our view was always, look, this is a community protocol, and we wanted people to use the system, and we wanted more USDL supply. And to be honest, I think there's a lot of people that just want to exit on day one, and that was never our sort of mantra in any case. It's from our point of view, people if you haven't cottoned on to this, the tagline "never selling" was not just about never selling Pulse. It was about never selling loan. And one thing that people may or may not recall, and that is most staking rewards are paid in the token that you stake, not with liquid loans. So if you stake your loan token, it's just yield bearing, but you're not going to get more loan token that way. You're going to get USDL and you'll get Pulse, right? So it in effect means that it doesn't put any downward pressure on the loan token as you stake it, right? Yeah. It's actually increasing the value of the loan token. And we always felt that more liquidity would come in, and we anticipate that there will be more liquidity over the course of the next couple of weeks, and you'll start to see that come up.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that. I probably got a couple of questions about that as we move forward. Now, these numbers are spectacular, though. In 10 days, I mean, these numbers are just absolutely incredible. I hope that the community, is amazed by that, because I think they're absolutely stellar, and very excited about where it's going. Now, the one question I was going to say was, obviously, there's front ends coming. We're going to automate strategies and things like that, get you optimize those strategies. We've also got people out there like Haunted, running projects like UpToken, and all the strategies out there like Haunted, Hexy, Cat, Hot Pearl strategies. I mean, there's so many of that coming down the pipeline too. It's going to be interesting to see how that evolves in the next couple of months as well. You got much thoughts on those in terms of interactions, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so. From our point of view, we're excited for some of these other projects that are coming in. I think it just bolsters the whole ecosystem. So really happy to see that come through.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, I wanted to get to the other side of things, of course, is if you haven't claimed your loan token from the sacrifice, you need to actually claim it. It's not going to be airdropped to your wallet. You need to go to neverselling.io. That is at the top of the chat link there. If you haven't done that already, and claim. The other thing, of course, there was a 2-year bonding curve, so it's going to be respective to what you participated in terms of every month over that 24-year period. So just remember that too. The other side of it, of course, is once you got the loan token, we can see the loan token is already trading in the markets. And one of the comments that you had from the community was about the liquidity. And I think when I first saw it, well, at least when I remember looking at it, it was at about 60,000. Now it's at 127. So it looks like it's doubled since I looked at it. Yeah. And it had some whales, early exit whales, which are expected, right? You always get some. They're always there. They're always just waiting. And
so don't give them the exit liquidity.
Yeah, I said this on live stream many times in the last 10 days. I've said, well, if you put a lot of liquidity in there, these whales that are going to exit early are just going to take it. So that's just the way it goes. And I actually watched their accounts, and I was just watching it minutely, almost on the clock there, going, oh, there he goes. He's going to go again. He's going to go again. There he goes. And then another whale came in. He says, oh, he's got his position, and they're like exiting, like, I can't remember, like 3 or 4 billion loan tokens or something like that. And it was pretty fun to watch, to be honest.
Yeah,
a lot of people were like, "Oh, the price is going down," and they were going, "Oh, this is fun. This is fun to see this. Where's this going to go?" And it kind of, I don't know. I kind of did the number between Sacrifice and the 5.5 trillion. I think it is total supply. And I think it went down to pretty much the long run average price. Am I right or am I wrong there? I think it did.
Yeah, my gut feel says that we've bottomed out and now we're starting to climb up. Obviously, there's markets do.
I don't expect you to talk about price because that's the one thing that CEOs can't do about things. But it was pretty fun to watch. And like I said, it's early days, and we already had a first pump to the upside. So it's pretty amazing, and the protocol itself is doing spectacular. So it's going to be fun to watch. 10 days in, what's going to be in 90 days, 180 days, 2 years.
So don't be surprised if you see that liquidity start to increase. Our expectation is that we'll start to increase. And look, at the end of the day, it's just use the protocol as it's intended. Our view is never selling both PLS and loan.
I remember two big participants in the Sacrifice were Magic Upright. They did a big, obviously, community effort there, taking #1 spot. And then I think after that was the Hex Goldwell. Was at #2, and I think he's put all this out for 2 years, so he's getting his loan token in 2 years' time. I think we give or take, I think we had about 25% of the loan tokens come to market straight out of the gate, approximately.
It's around
the 27%.
Yeah, 20%. 20% of the amount that was issued for the community, and so you'll see over the course of the next 24 months, more and more tokens will come out. But 60% of the tokens come out in 2 years' time. So it's
and we definitely have jumps in month 6, months 12, months 18, month 24. Right, there's jumps there.
That's right.
The other thing is, of course, if you've got your loan token, which you can actually buy on market now, if you missed out on the such a Sacrifice and claiming, you can actually buy them on market. So there we go. And of course, on the actual site here, let me just jump back to them. You can actually stake your loan tokens in the actual protocol and earn redemption fees and issuance gain in Pulse and USDL, as CC said earlier. You got many thoughts about how this is progressing? You got like 67%.
You just have to, just have a look at the stats. I mean, it's just the returns from the stability pool are about I think at the moment 360%. It's a pretty good return. So if you're staking USDL in the stability pool, you're getting some really nice returns there. Also staking in the loan token itself. I mean, it's 67% return. So it's
look at that, fantastic. Really beautiful.
So
from our point of view, it's get in and start using the protocol and start reaping the rewards. And I think,
I think with these high APRs, of course, it should theoretically attract the big whales into here as well, the big players. It just makes a lot of sense. So it's going to be fun to see this. It's only day 10. So it's going to be fun to see it play out in the future. I got to hold back my excitement because I might be too excited. But I got to, it's pretty amazing, really, the results. So let me just jump in. We're going to go down through to LP rewards, which is fantastic as well. And there's 150 billion loan tokens running for 42 days. And I know quite a few members of Hex Token Channel are in this pool and loving it. So you got much to say about that, CC?
I think, look, we knew that not everyone was going to be sacrificing for liquid loans, but at the same time we thought, look, we need to promote people adding to the liquidity pool, especially the USDL PLS pool. And so we introduced this for the first 42 days. So if you don't have loan tokens and you just want to provide liquidity to this pool, then there's no issue for people. And if you're familiar with liquidity or provision of liquidity, there is a link there that takes you straight to Pulsechain, so that you can actually add both sides to the pool. And what that then does is it then provides you with the PLP token that you stake here. So once you've received the PLP token from the liquidity pool on Pulsechain, you then come and stake it here. And by staking it here, you then start to receive loan token as reward. So that will only run for 42 days. Once that whole allocation's exhausted, that's it. So this is one way.
About a month ago then, Yeah, I know people are loving it because they're telling me to go, I'm in the providing it's going good. Anyway, so that's been kind of neat there too, which is pretty awesome. And of course, a lot of people have been talking about they've been staking these pools and stuff, and they've been loving the liquidations apparently, which is an interesting element.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but once again, CC talked about all this and make sure you have appropriate collateral ratio and adjustment for the conditions of the market as well. Another thing that you might be able to do too is if you're looking at participating in liquid loans and you're taking on a bit more risk than most people, then is this scaling your risk leverage as well as adjusted to the market. It's probably a wise thing to do there too, which is pretty amazing. And of course, you can always redemption, right? You can always redeem your USDL as well and get back to Pulse there as well. So kind of cool.
Yeah, and
USDL stands for $1 of Pulse.
Yeah, and so one of the things that people can do. I won't say it's a concern, but it's just something people need to know exactly how to respond if their collateral ratio starts to drop. How do they address it? Right. So there's a number of ways you can do that. One particular way would be effectively you go back to your vault and you repay some of your USDL, so you can withdraw the PLS. Right. So that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it really is to be very mindful of any liquidation gains. So if you have, for example, if you're in this stability pool, you'll notice that there are liquidation gains that come through. Those liquidation gains, you can gain both the loan token, but also any PLS that comes from liquidations. Put that PLS back into your vault, right? So that, again, you just keep topping up. It just means that it's a good way of maintaining a collateral ratio, particularly if things start to turn. And obviously the price of Pulse have dropped a bit today. So no surprise to see some liquidations occur. So the liquidation gains, take that Pulse and add it to your vault. Other than that, you need to acquire Pulse, which again is a good thing for Pulse. So people wanting to add more Pulse to their vaults, if they don't have the Pulse, they're going to have to go out and buy it. Right? So again, that will push the price up as well. So there's a number of mechanisms that will eventually assist to maintain your collateral ratio.
Oh, fantastic. Hey, look, the other thing is we've talked about a lot of the protocol there, a lot of the cool features and results that have been happening, which I think's been amazing on just about every single metric. The APRs are just stellar. The amount of stable coins issued is stellar. Everything is building up the right way. And I think it is just a matter of time for loan token liquidity to build up. It's already double what I remember seeing it at. So it's just slowly and surely just continue to build, only 10 days in. And like a boss, 3.5% of the Pulse supply off the market as well. We got 10.8% with the validators. So we're really getting up there. It is incredible. So, and I love to see where this is going to head in the next 6 to 12 months. So pretty amazing stuff like that. So check out liquid loans if you haven't for sure. Might be something really, really good that you might want to use on Pulsechain. Now, I wanted to get into a few questions here as well. We're 47 minutes in. So we might pull it up too. So we'll just change the format here a little bit. So get your questions in if you've got. We've got a couple of minutes for questions. And then we're going to talk about the 1 billion Pulse challenge as well, giveaway from liquid loans, or at least contest or something like that. So let's get in some of those. Let me just jump in here.
Appropriate questions, please.
Yeah, appropriate constructive questions. I put that at the very top of the chat, actually. What else have we got going in there? There's lots of comments, so I have to scroll through all those. We've got lots of nice, congratulations, excellent work, working like clockwork. So there's so many good comments around those. So big shout out. Was it All Scotsmen are mad? Go Dave, says Crypto Dan. That's pretty funny. Let me just scroll through some of that. Yeah, I'll leave out the pumpamental stuff there. Yeah, I covered that question. I'm not going to put that one up there. So let me just scroll through those. I guess you guys had a good launch party. Did you have some sort of launch party, CC?
As I said, we were 24 hours in. None of us had much sleep.
Had much sleep, yeah. So you had a week off.
Yeah, I was working with, our devs are everywhere, right? But there's a particular group, including our senior project manager. I was in the same city as these guys. So I think there's about 4 of us that got together and just had a very quick meal. The computers were in the background, but we caught up on the Saturday for lunch. That was really nice. But yeah, look, we will have a launch party, an official one, but obviously right now it's just all the focus is on making sure everything's running smoothly.
Yeah. We got one question here from Sandy. 4 more days until redemptions are turned on. That's not a question really, but more of a statement. So yeah, that's going to be cool. What else we got going on there? Let me jump through some of these questions. Yeah, we had a couple of questions there. I just missed a few of them, but there are only a couple, and I think we've answered a lot of them during the live stream. Now, I've got a few questions for you about the future. So here we go. So have you guys, with this Liquid Loans being a Liquidity fork, have you guys actually in the past talked to like the founder of that, Robert Lakow?
Yeah, we've reached out to Robert and the other founder there. We've had a couple of initially when we were considering Liquid Loans, we actually had hoped that we could work with those guys directly and get them to come over. But we just realized the feedback at the time was, look, guys, we just don't have time to dedicate to this. And so as a consequence, we thought, okay, well, let's do it. So whilst we've had some initial conversations, we haven't really had further conversations with them. I think their protocol and obviously our protocol speaks for itself. It's hanging together nicely. I think it's the LUSD stablecoin on Ethereum is probably one of the better ones. Our view is that ours will be the best on. We're kind of hoping that the moment of truth will be when the amount of stablecoins sitting on Pulsechain, the majority sit in USDL rather than DAI or any of the other stables that are out there.
Yeah. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because they're doing Liquidity V2, which you're probably well versed in, and working on the stablecoin trilemma. So have you got any thoughts about that? Is that something you guys will entertain in the future?
I'm not to be honest. I think adding complexity, and these guys have been around for a while and they understand some of the challenges. But I actually think adding complexity to me adds risk, and so from our point of view, we're interested in the dialogue. We certainly have seen the documents that have been published. We're interested in the dialogue, but we're not necessarily racing to launch anything that would actually allow for various other collateral to be used. We actually think that this works really well with the native token, and the reason why is, if you use anything other than the native token, other tokens tend to be more volatile, right? So our expectation is that, outside of Pulse, anything else. So we had a lot of questions at the very beginning to say, hey, why don't we do Hex and why don't we do PulseX? And I know the Power City guys have headed down the PulseX path, and they've made some changes to how much you can create a vault. And, I think that will work well. But from our point of view, doing that for any other token it's too volatile. So what would happen? You'd end up with a lot more liquidations, a lot of upset people. We thought, no, the intention of this is not to sell, and it's certainly not to have people being liquidated. So from our point of view, it was always a case of, look, use the most stable token on a layer one, which is the native token itself, and that's what we provide. So to answer your question around all of that, yes, we're interested in the dialogue. We're interested in understand all of that. And if we see that evolving into a place where we think, you know what, this is probably worth considering further, we might, we'll obviously act accordingly. But at this point in time, I'm pretty happy with the way it's been working. We don't see any reason at this point to make any sort of changes or change of direction on this. If anything, what we're thinking about now is, okay, how can we make Pulsechain better? What can we do to really bring further adoption to Pulsechain? That to me is, we're the community, we're part of the community. Both Dave and I, as founders, also have a vested interest in Hex, all things Richard Hart. Like we're invested in that, and so from our point of view, anything we can do to bring value to the chain, we'll do that. And so that's where I think most of our focus has to be.
Fantastic. And I think getting adoption, promotion, all that sort of marketing, that's the ultimate. You got to get people. You've done all this work. You got 3 protocols up, and you got to get adoption more and more using it. Is that kind of the focus there?
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, I think so. It's all about adoption.
Yeah, sure. They've also Richard's moved to full DeFi recently, of course, as you know, with the front ends. And so I know that Liquidity were also looking at doing these LDApps as well. Is that something you guys were entertaining?
Look, I think I personally don't like I understand the motive behind it, but gee, I have to say it's bloody clunky as hell. And it's just, it's like, you know, we're about adoption, not trying to make, not trying to retard.
I agree. Yeah. And I know that Gold Key and a few others have been out there on that same pointing that out as well. And I certainly agree with that. So yeah, pretty amazing. Now, you have talked about in the past, this is kind of my final main question, because we've got one on the chat there I'm going to get to before we wrap up on the hour here. But you've talked about more partnerships coming up in the future. You've hinted to that, particularly one you said that was going to be pretty good. Have you got anything further to add to that, or is that something we just have to wait for?
All I can say is that if you think about the comments that I've made, and that is, we're about adoption. We're about trying to make it easier for people to come into the chain itself. So we want more people coming into Pulsechain. The process to come into Pulsechain now is clunky. Right, so we want to facilitate that as best as we can. So how do we do that? I think an exit ramp is probably a good idea. You know, if there's an opportunity for us to work with another potential player to assist with onboarding directly into Pulsechain, that would be really good. And we can see some of that evolving. The other thing that we would certainly like to be able to do is facilitate for people to be able to actually use USDL directly in transactions, right? So outside of crypto, if we can. And so that's another opportunity that will present itself. Early days for these things, because we obviously have to prove ourselves, and I think we're doing that, and it's just a matter of time before we then move on to something like that. Yeah,
fantastic. And I think that kind of answers Fast Abdul's question about what protocol will your team launch next. Well, stay tuned. It's more coming about Fetch Oracle and about this potential partnership and exit there. So I think that's pretty good. Now, I just wanted to just get into the 1 billion challenge as we lead up to the end of the hour. So let me just play this little video, and let's see, get into a better format there. And I think this one here. So if you guys don't know, there is a 1 billion pulse challenge being run by Liquid Loans, and it is incredible. 1 billion pulse. I mean, it's put your hands up for that. But let's hear from Warris, the growth manager here.
On community, Pulsechain safe, live on mainnet. Fetch, live on mainnet. Liquid Loans, live on mainnet. Guys, it's been a long journey. We're so excited. Couldn't be happier with the results. So grateful for all the community. We are live. And now we finally get the chance to drop our 1 billion pulse challenge. So we're going to give back. We're doing a great giveaway, offering up some cool stuff to get the community involved here early on with LL. Now, there's two different ways to enter. There's the social share side, and you can put hashtag love liquid loans, and most importantly, why. The whys are important. The whys are why we do everything. So not only do we want to see that you love liquid loans, we want to know why. That's part of it. And the other really interesting for some of our users is to open a vault on mainnet. So we are on mainnet, no testnet. This is all mainnet driven. Open up a vault on there to qualify, and we're going to take these first 14 days. It's going to coincide with when redemptions turn on. We're going to do the drawings and everything a little later on in the year. But guys, we're going to have 1 billion pulse that's going to be up for grabs. Help us get it out there. Let us know why you love liquid loans. We could not be happier. We're so grateful to you guys being on mainnet. It's everything. Get involved in this challenge. It's going to be awesome, and let everybody know why you love liquid loans.
So don't miss out on that, folks. That is absolutely huge, and big shout out to the Liquid Loans team for doing that, CC.
Yeah, every time I watch that, Walrus does such a fantastic job, and you know, he's obviously he takes his cues from Scottish Dave. He's high energy, and it's the only thing I regret is that his beard's too black for me. He needs a bit of grey hair. I just,
Yeah. Hey, look, your team is absolutely crushing it, CC. I really do appreciate you coming on today. Any final words for the community?
Yeah, just use the protocol, watch your collateral levels, enjoy the ride, make sure that you have the opportunity of trying out for the prize. So make sure that you attend at least try for the $1 billion PLS giveaway. Do what's required there. I think it bodes well for the community. And as I said, we'll do everything we can to ensure adoption to Pulsechain.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Adoption. Get in, folks, onto Liquid Loans. It's pretty amazing. And thank you once again, CC. It's been the interview I've been waiting for. I don't know for how long, but it's been forever, and I love it. Thank you so much for coming on. And peace out, everybody, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share it, and hit the bell. Get into that 1 billion Pulse challenge. Go Liquid Loans, go Pulsechain, and we'll catch you on the next live stream. Take care, everybody, and bye for now.
Thanks for having me.
Yes!